Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Kasper.
The news from yesterday that former Packers president, CEO Bob Harlan passing away at the age of 89. Bob Harlan, just a refresher, was hired as the new president and CEO for the Packers in 1989. After serving with the Packers, originally was hired as an assistant general manager in 1971. Before that, he had spent a few years with the St. Louis Cardinals, and even before that was with Marquette University as the sports information director, where he had graduated college from Marquette. But was with the Packers starting in 1971, moving up a little bit in the ranks, or if you will, and being the main dude, the main guy, starting in 1989. And you want to talk about maybe one of the best decisions in Green Bay Packers history. You know, when we talk about that, we talk about coach hirings and maybe even general manager hirings or especially player, decisions, drafts, trades, signings, that sort of thing. One of the best decisions in Green Bay Packers history is the hiring of Bob Harlan. And I think a lot of maybe younger Packers fans don't necessarily know a lot about Bob Harlan. Maybe they don't know anything about Bob Harlan, or maybe just kind of take it for granted what he did. And I think it's a good, we should always be remembering what he did to, I don't think I'm being dramatic in saying this, saving the franchise potentially. A lot of his decisions and the work that he did paved the way for a lot of that success. And when we talk about the mid-'90s in those Packers teams, everybody looks or thinks about, when you think about Super Bowl XXXI, you think about the roster. You think about Reggie White. You think about Brett Favre. You think about some of those other great role players. You think about Mike Holmgren. You think about Ron Wolf. Ron Wolf hired Mike Holmgren. Ron Wolf traded for Brett Favre, signed Reggie White. Ron Wolf's in the Hall of Fame, too. But it all started with Bob Harlan. It had to start somewhere. It didn't, and this does not take away anything from what Mike Holmgren did, what Ron Wolf did. It was just great decision after great decision. And it first started with the decision to hire Bob Harlan as their new leader. And the trickle-down effect after that. Bob Harlan hires Ron Wolf, gives Ron Wolf all the football decisions be made by Ron Wolf. I still remember I had as a kid, it was after they won Super Bowl XXXI. And they came out with like a couple CDs. I think I actually still have them in storage somewhere. But they came out with a couple CDs. It was like Super Bowl highlights in there mixed with songs. Like, obviously, Bang on a Drum All Day and stuff like that. It was like a Packers album. There was two of them. And I still remember a clip in there from Ron Wolf's introductory press conference, and it's Bob Harlan talking. And the one line in there that he says, all football decisions will be made by Ron Wolf. So Harlan makes that decision to hire Ron Wolf. Ron Wolf makes the great decision to hire Mike Holmgren. Makes the decision, the gamble to trade for one Brett Favre. They get Reggie White. It all worked out in perfect harmony. They all deserve the credit for that Super Bowl XXXI team, for the resurgence of this Packers squad. But I still feel like it's Bob Harlan that doesn't get included into that, let's say, foursome. It should be a fivesome. It should be the top five. But for a lot of people, they think the first people they think about is Favre and White. They're Hall of Famers. They're two of the best players of all time. So, yes, of course. I don't fault fans for thinking that. They're going to think of Ron Wolf. He's in the Hall of Fame, too. I don't fault fans for that. They're going to think of Mike Holmgren. I don't fault fans for that either. But it all started with Bob Harlan. And not only just that, I mean, that wasn't the only thing he did when he was with the Packers. So many other things that changed the course to how we kind of look at the Packers right now. I mean, you go to the early 2000s, the Lambeau Field remodeling, the funds, campaigning, and you still hear stories about Bob Harlan answering the phone and listening to fans, complaints, questions. I mean, last night I was, kind of reading a little bit more about him. And this was a little clip here. It said Harlan noted his preference to be hands-on in his approach to the job. So much so that instead of backfilling his old position, he had all department heads just report directly to him. Harlan, who had always been viewed as nice and professional, also cultivated a reputation for being approachable as president. He had no secretary and answered his own phone calls. He also corresponded with fans and Packers shareholders directly. How many bigwigs, bosses still do that to this day? They don't, right? They don't. And I still hear stories about people, writing a letter and getting something in return or making a phone call, and he called them back or he talked to them. So you hear that, the humbleness, just for a guy in his position, but to be still nice, right? Just approachable and such. But again, going back to Lambeau Field and, the renovation of it from 01 to 03, a lot of us in our, whether you're my age or, older and such, we remember what Lambeau Field used to look like. And remember when it reopened up, if you will, and just the complete change into it. And I know for some people, they probably look at pictures from the early 90s and 80s of that old stadium like, that's what it used to look like? Yeah. And Harlan literally was on the streets asking for votes to authorize this. And the thing is, too, he never threatened to move the Packers. He didn't pull that card. Look at like what's going on with the Bears situation. Are they going to be in Indiana or not? And Harlan never threatened to move the Packers from Green Bay. He didn't do that part. Going back even a little bit earlier, the Don Hutson Center, an indoor training facility in Green Bay. Some teams still don't have that to this day. And this little nugget too, he is still the only person, Bob Harlan is still the only person in league history, this was from Adam Schefter, to hire two different general managers that won Super Bowls with different rosters. Ron Wolf, obviously, but Bob Harlan was the one who hired Ted Thompson. Ted Thompson and Mark Murphy, they are the ones that kind of, when fans think about those two, I think a lot of people just assume Mark Murphy hired Ted Thompson. No. Bob Harlan hired Ted Thompson. After the failed Mike Sherman general manager run, he brought Ted Thompson back to the organization and hired Ted. And the other part, too, in this whole thing is towards the end, even when he wasn't, the main guy in charge, he, by all accounts, by a lot of reports, was the man that kind of got the ball rolling a little bit to get Brett Favre back within the organization, the good graces. So just a legendary human being, but a legendary Packer person. When you look at all the things that he did for this franchise and things that he did for this franchise that are still prevalent to today. A lot of Packers fans have a lot to thank for Bob Harlan and the job that he did. So, man, because we still reaping the benefits. So, when you think about Packers history, I implore a lot of you, maybe more so from the younger fans, when you think about some of the most pivotal and legendary Packers people, you think about obviously Curly Lambeau, you think about Vince Lombardi. You think about some of the players, the Bart Starrs, the Ray Nitschkes, the Favres, the Rodgers, the Whites. You think about the other coaches and such. You think about Ron Wolf. Think about Bob Harlan in that same breath. Because what he did for this franchise and the amount of work and dedication and passion that he put into it, it's rare, I think, in this day and age. And for little old Green Bay, we have a lot, as Packers fans, we have a lot to thank for him for what he did. So, NFL New Year begins next week. Legal tampering, free agency. Oh, the free agency frenzy or madness or whatever these networks are going to be calling it, 24/7 coverage because... Which, I mean, come on now. Why would they have an NFL free agent frenzy on Monday when they're not supposed to have any signings? I don't get it, Brandon. It just because they follow the rules all the time.
Right. Nobody was talking in Indy with agents of potential free agents.
So it's just such a head scratcher that,
these people are just the best in the world at what they do. They work so hard.
Yep.
15 seconds after the free agent tampering period opens, you got people having deals that are announced or they have agreed in principle.
They've agreed in principle, and every tweet is going to be ended with the deal was negotiated by so-and-so because it's coming from the agents.
Yes.
That's where it's coming from. So with that, I'm going to have a little fun with this.
Yeah.
And Brandon and I are going to pick one player, and it is going to be their team that they're going to sign with. But that player that is going to be first reported out on social media that they have agreed in principle to a new contract, and it will be official on Wednesday when the new league year opens. So I don't know if you kind of went with the same mindset I had. I don't think it's going to be one of the big name players out there.
Mine's definitely not.
So mine's a person you've probably heard of, but it's definitely not going to be a top tier pick or anything like that. So I will give you the honors first.
All right.
Sir.
My first one, I don't have the contract details.
Yep.
Because I'm not like that. But my pick for the first announced agreement in principle, I'm going to say it's going to be former Chiefs linebacker Leo Chenal to the Raiders.
Ooh.
Little Wisconsin connection, the Grantsburg guy.
Nice.
Leo Chenal to the Raiders.
All right. Okay. I don't know why. And there's no basis to it, but I think when we threw this out as an idea last week, we both said the same player. So my pick is a running back. I don't know why, but I just had it's got to be a running back. And it's not going to be Kenneth Walker. I don't see that one happening. So I am going Rachaad White.
Hey, yeah.
Going to the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
Because James Conner's not there anymore. I know Rachaad White was getting rumored because he's a Kansas City native, maybe there. Yeah.
They could use a running back.
They could.
They could use a running back that doesn't drop the ball before the goal line.
Yep. So I'm like, I don't know why. I got to pick a running back for this, and that's who I settled on. Not a running back that's going to get like a 40-year deal. You might get a 1 or 2 year deal, and going to go catch passes and run the ball behind Matt LaFleur's new offense and whoever their new quarterback is going to be for Arizona. So I went with White going to the Cardinals. Rashad White.
Yeah.
So now, if one of us actually gets it right,
tell you what, if one of us gets this right, I think a couple weeks when we're at VFW, the other one owes them like maybe a tasty beverage or maybe a breakfast. Who knows?
Okay, I will be on board for that 100%. Yep, because that is well worth it.
If
one of us gets it right. So
tell you what, if one of us gets it both, player and team, breakfast. If it's just one.
Beverage. I'm on board with that. Yep. That's a good one. I like that. So.
If we both get it,
then C-Bomb's got to buy.
Yes.
C-Bomb and Surveyor got to buy.
Yes.
So. just cuz. So that's a good one. Or maybe our mutual friends Nick and Josh.
There we go. They usually come up clutch. So
yeah. So, but I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I don't know how active my team's going to be. I don't know how active your team is.
Outside of
releasing
players, but I would say outside of a quarterback.
Yeah. What are your feelings about the rumors they may be moving on from
Jonathan Grenard?
Yeah.
That one's a little surprising. Like, I understood Aaron Jones. I understand the 2 D tackles that they signed last year. Like, there's been kind of some talk about maybe D tackle, like pass rushing D tackles. It may be a little bit more of a nuanced thing for Brian Flores because a lot of times, this is why Harrison Phillips is so good in that role, in that spot for them, was he was a space eater. Like, he knew, like, basically his job was to free things up for other people. And when you're a guy that's used to, getting after the passer yourself, maybe that takes a little bit of a getting used to. And I think both those guys probably still got some juice left, and they were better as the year went on. But Grenard, that one surprised me a little because he's still in his prime. Like, the thing that, because at first it was like, obviously the reports came, it's like, oh, the Vikings, they'd be willing to move him. It's like, okay. I mean, you've got Andrew Van Ginkel. Dallas Turner led the team in sacks last year, coming into his 3rd year. But all things being equal, I would still kind of prefer to have the 3 if you could, just because, you generally want a stable of pass rushers.
Right.
But, he is someone that has, you go back to 2024, had an excellent year. Like, the pressures were there last year, even if the sacks weren't. And I think he's someone that's looking for a rightful
market value.
A rightful market value.
Yep.
Now, when you're in the spot the Vikings are, where they don't have as much money, like, that can be a little bit tougher. So we'll see. I mean,
does that make it easier for the Vikings because of what they've gotten from Andrew Van Ginkel a little bit?
Him and maybe, but I'm still a little leery on trading a guy that's in his prime, that's still very productive.
Yep.
Like, to me, that's just one of those, like, I think there's other buttons you can push there. But, obviously that's just another potential pass rusher that's out there. So I would still be a little surprised if it happened. But, I mean, the fact that, obviously it's out there says it's a possibility.
It is. I mean, and you look at your interior linemen that your Vikings got last year, they're probably gone too, and such. Yep. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of different faces. Do you now? I've seen some people poking fun at your former GM for this. I mean, was that all?
I don't think so. Like, again, we kind of had this conversation. I think it was last week where, there are things you could fault Kwesi Adofo-Mensah for. I also think that at this point he's kind of getting scapegoated.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that Brian Flores, when they went on this big spending spree last year, that Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell didn't have a say in that.
Right.
That they weren't saying, we'd like to have that guy. Especially kind of the messaging going into last offseason was getting better in the trenches. And that's kind of, that's where they put the money towards. They signed Will Fries. They drafted Deshaun Jackson, Donovan Jackson. They brought in both Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. You would never be able to convince me that Flores and O'Connell weren't signing off on that.
Right.
So I do think that there's still some scapegoating going on right now because that was all him. Like all those things that didn't work out, no, that was all him. The stuff that did work out, bringing in, bringing back Eric Wilson, who had a really good year. Bringing in some of these other guys. Oh no, that was us though. That was us. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
That's kind of how I view it right now, and that's now they're gonna get they're gonna get that chance because of that. And in some ways, like. Within the last few years, the Vikings have almost operated better in free agency when they've had financial limits. Like last year, I mean, they spent a ton. They actually spent more cash on players than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But 2 years ago, it was being a little bit more frugal in free agency, looking at maybe the second tier. That's where they signed Grenard. That's where they signed Van Ginkel. That's where they signed Blake Cashman. Like, to me, it's almost like it's better to send them to the store with like $20 instead of $100 and say, find something good for dinner, but don't go crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. So, and I think honestly, kind of Green Bay's in that same spot here too. And they started to reportedly do some things yesterday. Xavier McKinney, gonna get his contract bonus. I don't want to say restructured because that's not the right word, but altered or
they just
whatever.
Changed how things are paid
reworked
out.
it. Yeah, so lowers the cap hit and that. So. Technically, it looks like they're under the cap, which is what these teams got to be by next Wednesday.
Yep. Before they can start spending a bunch of that money.
Yeah, which I think there's probably two more that are coming because two of the top four most expensive players in terms of cap hit for Green Bay is Rashawn Gary and Elton Jenkins. You would think those are moves that are probably going to be adjusted here rather soon in the next coming days.
Rashawn Gary had a...
Yeah, the Instagram post was sweaty hoodie
on the ground.
Yeah, so
what does that mean? Ooh,
get our boy Robert Stack on it for an Unsolved Mysteries.
Dun, 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 dun.
For heaven's sakes, stop freaking out about that stuff. But I saw people like retweeting and like eye emojis, and I'm like, come on, what do we do? Sometimes, yes, people do that for the attention too.
Sure do.
They'll throw that out there, but. Do you think your team, another prediction here, because then I'll throw a prediction for my team. Will they make a move next week? At least just one? Signing wise?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yep, I do.
I think Green Bay's going to do one signing too. I'm going to roll with that.
I don't think you're going to have to wait very long on the quarterback thing for the Vikings.
Because they're probably going to want to get their guy right away, right?
Right. And not that they've potentially had any conversations with anybody, even though obviously that's a little bit. But
I saw the ESPN simulator had Malik for Minnesota. Would you be okay with that?
I would. If I'm
now, that would be more of a long-term thing. I would.
It would. Like, to me, that is more of sorry, JJ.
Yeah.
Than Kyler Murray is.
Yep.
Because there's a world where Kyler Murray's there a year and leaves.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Malik is going to get he's going to get multi-years, a decent chunk of money. I'm intrigued by that. I'm interested by that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would bring up the point that Kevin O'Connell had nice things to say about Malik Willis prior to the regular season finale, but Kevin O'Connell has nice things to say about every quarterback.
Anthony Richardson.
Although I thought about this, it would be funny if the Vikings both brought in Kyler Murray and Anthony Richardson, brought in like the smallest and the biggest quarterback there is.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that'd be funny.
And then JJ's like in the middle.
Yeah,
sort of
that would just be funny for the optics of it. See them guys standing next to each other on the sidelines. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Like, I don't think they wait long, be it Kyler Murray, be it Kirk Cousins, whoever. Like, I don't think that's something that's going to drag on.
And I think that's a big thing too for Kyler. And I know a lot of people are connecting the dots with Minnesota because there's stuff saying he wants to go there. If let's say the Jets offer a multi-year, then he's going to have to choose, like, do I want the best situation? Maybe that'll help me for my future.
Right.
Or just go ahead and cash in right now.
Yeah, do I want, right.
That's ultimately his decision at that point.
Yep.
So
it's
worked out for some.
Yeah.
Look at Sam Darnold.
Yeah, sure.
Look at, there's other options or examples too. Mac Jones might be kind of in a similar boat.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Mac Jones is, I think the 49ers are playing that right. Like, you say you don't want to trade him, like, and maybe you don't, but like,
even if he doesn't play,
you shouldn't be giving him away because you've got a guy that if something happens to Brock Purdy, can
Yep.
keep you afloat, because that's exactly what happened last season.
Even if he doesn't play another down for the 49ers, he just sits the bench, his stock will still be fairly high.
It's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, in the next
You go back. I
offseason.
mean, heck, even go back to Sam Darnold. He points to the year he was in San Francisco as a crucial year for his development.
Yep.
Because he got a chance to take a step back, kind of reset a little bit.
Yep.
And that's obviously led to good things for him down the line.
And I wonder how much really affected Mac Jones. I mean, we saw the down, and the Patriots went to the playoffs, but you also were the guy to replace
Right.
Tom Brady.
Right.
I know there was a year gap, but still.
You never want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
Right.
You want to be the guy after the guy that replaced the guy, like Drake May is
Like
right
Drake
now.
May, yep.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, look, Packer fans know this, but like the succession plan from Favre to Rodgers, and then even from Rodgers to Love, like generally does not go that well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is definitely the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm. I'll be curious years down the road if this is still a thing for Green Bay where they draft that quarterback in the first round and sit him for multiple years just because of the Rodgers. And every general manager is going to be different. I don't know if Goody's even going to be around.
Yeah, he might not be. It might be someone else.
But it's like, is that going to be an organizational philosophy now?
Like no matter what you believe in this organization, this is
how
what we do it. Yes.
Oh, man.